So I had a dream last night that I want to unpack because it involved a shopping mall, a beer, a security guard, a telling on the security guard, and then a huge reframe of understanding the other side in relation to world peace and what's happening in the world today. And it's weird that it all took place in a shopping mall in my dream. But I gained quite a depth of understanding and perspective. Not sure if you'll feel the same way, but this is my dream, and if it speaks to you and it resonates, then maybe it can help you in how you see the world and how you see the change that's needed from where we are going as a world to where we should be trying to go as a world, in my opinion. So that's a move away from fear and hate, more to love and peace. So the dream. I was in a shopping center, I was in a food court, I was sitting at a table, and there were people around me that I was with, and we were celebrating something. But we were not celebrating like being loud and raucous. We were celebrating in a way that was like internally we knew that we had succeeded, and we were just there, just sharing some food, sharing a drink, and just, keeping amongst ourselves at the table. And a security guard that was like Goliath, like bigger than me, right? Comes past, picks up my drink, looks at it, and just walks away with it. So I gesture, and I can't remember the exact words I used, etc., but I'm going to tell you the emotions I felt and what that would resonate in words. So then I was like, hey, I need my beer, like that's my drink, what's going on? And the person just kept on walking, so I got up and I chased after it, and then I got my hands on the bottle, but this Goliath, who was like double my size, still had his hands on the bottle, and he looked down at me, and I said to him, that's my bottle, why are you taking it? And he didn't answer me. And I tried to pull, I tried to get my bottle back, and I couldn't get my bottle back. And then I was in a security guard center within the shopping mall, and I was trying to speak to the person there to come and help me because one of the security guards has gone rogue. He's stolen my beer. And so this person walks with me, and we get to this like staircase, and around this security guard, this Goliath of a security guard, there are 5 other people sitting up and down from him, but on the staircase. And I approach with a security guard thinking, I'm going to get my beer back. I'm going to be with whoever they were, my buddies or whatever it was, to celebrate. And I would have got what was rightfully mine because I paid for it. I would have got that back. And anyway, this security guard that I came with goes and sits down. So now it's just me facing all of them. And I'm trying to explain myself, and this group is not really paying attention to me, not really gesturing to me in any kind of particular way. And then I found myself almost like lucid dreaming, where I thought back within the dream of the dream. I thought back into when the person had took my beer, and I went and I grabbed it. The other then frustration that I had was I should have kicked this person in the shins. That just was what I felt, like I should kick this person in the shins. And the crazy thing about that is I realized in my dream that when you don't communicate, when you run out of words to say because no one's hearing you and you aren't getting help, and you feel there's something unjust, you feel like there is something that you are owed or something that is yours, and it's taken against your will, it's taken against your agency at all, and there's no explanation, or if there is an explanation in real world settings, there's manipulation involved, there's deceit, there's making sure that the coverage of the news stories are in relation to what you want them to be. Hence propaganda. We know propaganda exists because of the olden days. We don't know necessarily who's playing it, or if everyone's playing it, or how they're playing it as civilians, but we know that propaganda exists, right? So it's like I couldn't communicate, I couldn't get my point across, and then I turned to fighting. And it kind of just put a lens on the world today. It kind of put a lens on the conflicts that are happening around the world, and how one side is standing up for themselves and the other side might be this bigger, or not even bigger, just this just takes or just does and just has. And I thought to myself, like, how could this resolve? Like, how could we ever get to a stage of peace and love and people looking out for each other and being genuine and seeing the beauty in the world and seeing that every one of us is actually unique and gifted and part of this world and part of each other? Like, again, I come back to the Ubuntu philosophy. Like, I am because you are. We mimic each other. We mimic our role models as kids. We learn from teachers, from guides, from parents, from friends, from people around us. We exist the way we do because of the conditioning and the environment that we came from. We are today what is an accumulation of things that have taken place in our awareness and our experience, and how we've resolved them or how we've moved through them. This is how we are today. Okay? It's much deeper than that on surface level, but that we are an extension of our past today. We aren't our future yet. We are now, today, operating in what is real. And that's this moment. This moment is real. So we can't change the past. We can understand it. We can be compassionate with it. We can offer it grace. We can move through it, and we can learn from it, and we can build ourselves. I'm talking individually now. We can build ourselves up to a state of acknowledging that maybe we didn't have all the facts. Maybe we didn't know what was right or wrong. We just dealt with the situation how we dealt with it. Maybe we didn't have the language to use. We didn't have the awareness. We didn't have the perspective. We didn't have whatever it is, right? But now we can change. We don't have to keep remaining that way. We can change, and we can improve, and we can do what's right for us and do what's right for another person. Then you look at this from a global perspective. If countries did what was right by them as well as by others, and we lived in this community, like, take away everything right now. Like, let's just look at if everything was equal and there was a reset, and that everyone played nicely and everybody shared and everybody like did the things that we were taught as kids, right? We do that as adults. As adults, we've got no necessary guidance. We are the guidance, right? Whereas when we're kids, we taught things by our elders. Our elders are now ourselves, right? We are the elders to the next generation, and yet look at how we're carrying on. We're carrying on how generations and generations and generations before have done it, and yet we hide behind the faces of religion and nationalities and whatever else. We hide behind that as security, but then our actions don't necessarily follow the words and the beliefs, right? So then there's a mismatch between that. And this is all going through my mind at Hoppers 4 this morning, right? And I thought to myself, how do we get a reset? Because to think that a reset can happen instantaneously is very highly wow, I can't even say the word. Like, you can't even imagine that reset. You can, but how it actually takes place, you can't, because then you go into like, there's spies, there's propaganda, there's treaties, there's agreements when you're not in the room, there's all these things that take place. It must come down to trust. It has to come down to trust. So we need to trust one another. So the state of the world in terms of how they trust one another, I feel, from my perspective, that we don't trust one another. If we don't trust one another in our own society, in our own community, in the countries that we live, in the towns that we live, the suburbs that we live, if we don't trust one another, then how do we trust people on the other side of the world, or trust people that look different to us, or trust people that speak differently to us, or trust people that have a different religion, way of life, diet, whatever it is, right? How do we do that if it's different to us? We need to be able to trust. We need to be able to have grace. We need to be able to come together and do what's best for everyone, not just a few, not just different particular nations, depending where you were born. Everyone is human. Everyone is here for our knowledge right now. Everybody's here without previous knowledge of why we came up in the families we came up, what generational things we need to maybe sort out, and like, we don't know. But what we do know is that we are alive here and now, and the choices we make impact everyone else, including ourselves. Love is so strong. If we can learn to love one another, the world would improve significantly versus fear. Fear is what's driving brands. Brands play on fear. Brands play on the fear of missing out, the fear of not having this, or not being able to run faster because you don't have the right shoes. And brands play on that. It's a trigger to get people to purchase because they don't want to miss out, right? The fear of missing out. You don't want to miss out. So how do we move through that? And I asked ChatGPT, right? And I said to it, I basically wanted to know, I'm just refreshing it. I basically wanted to know, I said, how do you get to a state of world peace? What are the ingredients? And it said, inner peace at an individual level, trust and fairness in social systems, shared economic stability, cultural respect and dialogue, education in emotional and social intelligence, accountability and justice, collective vision of humanity, and pulling it all together. So I basically went back and forwards with it, and I said to her, listen, I want, for world peace, what do nations need to do and hold to? What values and way of life? And then it gave me a bunch. It gave me human dignity above all, fairness and justice in systems, economic balance and security, cultural respect and sovereignty, education rooted in humanity, accountability at every level, a shared vision of humanity. Those 7 steps. I didn't really like that, okay, because for me, even those, like, yeah, as principles, fine, but how do we even get there? How do we get there? And I feel like it's through communication. We need to be able to understand one another. We need to be able to communicate with one another, and we need to get the people that actually know what they're talking about. So, like, for instance, to get in the room and to be able to talk amongst themselves, or debate, or challenge, or raise their side of the story to an audience of lay people, to people that don't understand anything about what's going on, okay? And the experts need to be able to simplify the language for the lay people to be able to understand and vote on whatever's right for both parties, whatever's fair, okay? Where it's like a tribal gathering, and these lay people need to be of all ages, demographics, etc. within society, from different countries, from countries that don't have a benefit of what the decision is even taking place, okay? And the repercussions of. And there needs to be a majority vote. And because of the diversity within there, there's no one set person that can be bribed or corrupted to a certain way to vote a certain way. Like, there's, the community holds strong, and everybody needs to rationalize and reason as to why they're voting a certain way on whatever it is. Call it the United Nations, right? Bringing people together, but experts, not not governments, not anyone else, not political agendas or policies or whatever it is. You have experts. So for instance, if I work in the sports industry and I wanted to create, I'm using a vague example, right? Because I don't want to touch on anything that's happening right now because I don't have depth of knowledge in terms of all these things. So generalized, look at the pattern that I'm talking about here. If I'm in the sports industry and I want to have a new Olympics, okay, I need to be able to go into this debate with other people that are within that industry, within athletics, within sport. And we need to be able to talk about what is right for us. How should the games look? What is fair games? What is a fair training routine, etc. Like we've got the World Anti-Doping Association. We've got rules and structures around sport, etc. And we all come together and we debate. We talk about, for instance, we know that like Jamaicans are very, very quick over 100 meters in terms of on the world stage, right? Usain Bolt, world record holder, etc. Like we know that. Whereas we've not had like someone from a different nationality necessarily win. We know that people from the African continent are very good at long distance running. We know that. Like we can see where, we can just see in the Olympics, like where the golds come from. We can see who's good at acrobatics. We can see all of that. What is fair for the games? What is fair for competition? What is fair? And we do this, but we do this in relation to minerals. We do this in relation to forests, nature, oxygen, pollution, like the big topics that actually are impacting everyone, right? We come together in a room, we have experts talk to lay people and basically tell them why they believe a certain action should take place and what the implications of that action could be. And the experts will debate about themselves, and there will be conflict through communication, but people need to understand and listen and put forward what's in the best interest of everyone, not just a particular group. And these lay people will be able to vote on what is right and what is wrong. That was my thinking. And anyway, I asked ChatGPT, I said to it, please could you go into the descriptions to motivate as to why these are the fundamental baselines. Okay, and also then tell me what the fundamental baselines are. And it said, it gave me, how many did it give me? It gave me 7, which is quite a religious number, right? Number 1, respect every person. Nations need to agree that every person matters, no matter where they come from. The why is when people feel treated like they don't matter, anger grows and fighting begins. If everyone feels valued, trust is possible. Play fair. Countries must make rules that are fair for all, not just for the strong or the rich. Imagine playing a game where one player always cheats. The others will stop playing and start fighting. Fair rules stop anger from building. Share enough so no one goes hungry. Nations must make sure that people have food, water, homes, and safety. When people are hungry or scared, they will fight to survive. If everyone's needs are met, people can work together instead of fighting. Respect cultures and choices. Each nation should let other nations live their way without trying to erase their culture or take away their choices. Wars often start when one group feels pushed aside or disrespected. Respect makes space for peace. I mean, that's kind of me in the shopping mall with the Goliath security guard, right? 5th, teach kindness and cooperation. Schools should teach children how to listen, share, and handle anger, not just maths and reading. If kids don't learn how to solve problems calmly, they grow up to fight as adults. Peace lasts when people know how to talk and listen. So that's around my communication thing, right? Have rules for when someone hurts others. Nations must agree that if a country bullies or harms others, there will be fair consequences. Why? In any playground, bullies stop when teachers step in, but without rules, bullies keep hurting others and peace cannot hold. And lastly, Remember, we are one human family. Nations need to see themselves as part of one world, not just separate teams. Why? The air, water, and land belong to all of us. If one group destroys them, everyone suffers. When we protect them together, we all survive. The way of life for nations is to choose cooperation instead of competition, to be open and honest. Hidden deals break trust. Care for the weak, protect smaller nations and people without power, and lead with kindness. Make laws and choices that help humans and the planet, not just the powerful few. Share ideas, food, and skills instead of sharing weapons. Thank you.